I'm Tana Ford here at C2E2, telling you guys to listen to Southern Fried Geekery, the best podcast in Arkansas?
The world.
The world?
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Southern Fried Geekery podcast. As usual, I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
I'm Craig Lance.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Jerry. And we want to wish all of you lovely ladies out there a wonderful Mother's Day. Whether you gave birth to us or you just took us on to raise, kind of like Stephanie did with all of us. Craig's, we are her wayward children. But, moms come in all different forms, and we think that you guys are rock stars for basically not letting us destroy ourselves, because that's the alternative to what would happen if they weren't there.
That's pretty much exactly.
I've got several beloved women who just they act like, the bumpers in bowling. That's essentially what these moms are. They just keep me out of the gutter all the time.
Pretty much.
And it's awesome. Well, this is episode 71 of the Southern Fried Geekery podcast.
It is.
Woo. We just keep, the numbers, they keep stacking up because that's how numbers work.
That is how numbers work. The more of these we do, the higher the number that will be.
That's how, yeah.
It's made physics, right? I don't understand it. So how's everybody's week, man, y'all? How's things happening? How are they going? Words.
It's been good. Yesterday we got to go, and my wife and I got to go watch Caleb, graduate from college. Congratulations.
I did a thing.
Yeah.
I made it. I'm tired.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. It was fun. Yeah. I got to wear a gown and a hat. And for the one time I wear a gown and it's not weird.
And you also had on a Hulk tie.
I did. I wore my favorite Hulk tie.
Yeah.
It's great. It's green. And I like how, so yesterday you wore a green shirt and they were totally the same color green.
Yeah. Everybody kept asking me if I did that on purpose, believe it or not.
We color coordinate. Well, you're my hetero husband. So that's how we're synced. We're synced up.
Really?
What?
Craig? This guy? No.
I can be your hetero husband too, Jerry.
Much like my real husband, we all know that they can do better. I don't know why they chose me.
No, it was just great because, at your the reception before your wedding, Craig and I went together. So, everybody was like, oh,
yeah, because gay wedding.
Yeah, exactly. So
no, that was at the bachelor party thing.
Yeah, that's right.
There were so many events. Yeah, weddings are weird. Yeah. Weddings in 2016 were weird.
Yes.
Especially like gay weddings. I don't know. They're odd. But yeah, no, I've had a great week. Yeah, it's been fun. Got to graduate. Don't have any summer classes. Finals are all through. Can relax and read comics a little bit. Speaking of comics, there were some good ones that came out this week.
Yeah, there were some.
Brian Hitch wrapped up his tenure on Hawkman. I read that this morning. It was fun. Murder Falcon ended, and now I'm sad.
Well, I have not had a chance to read this week, so I'm woefully behind.
Yeah, just work.
Yeah, it's been a long couple of weeks. So,
you guys read anything cool?
Oh yeah, plenty of cool stuff. One of which we're going to get to on this episode.
Jerry, any goodness?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure. It was a long week. Tax season's finally over, so it's been going really slow at work.
Yeah. Honestly, Sam, I've had a pretty horrible week, but it's gotten better the last couple of days.
My morning kind of bummed me out. So I was getting on the on-ramp.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 140 or whatever there in front of and as I was getting on, it was raining and you want to be a little extra careful. So I'm kind of going up the on-ramp and I see these two birds and one of them just decides to waddle its little stupid bird feet out in front of me and I fucking nail it.
Oh.
Yeah. George the bird is dead. Rip George. And yes, I gave him a human name because I want to demonize myself even more.
Your morning was a metaphor.
I almost decided to just turn around and call it a day.
Nope, I have committed animal sex.
Maybe that bird was a bird murderer. And you did the bird world a favor.
I don't know. I feel bad for Hector, his mate that was sitting on the side of the road that just watched it all unfold.
Maybe Hector was his prisoner and you freed Hector.
Maybe Hector was an asshole and George was just done with everything.
There could be a positive spin to this, bro.
You freed George.
You freed George from Hector.
He's where he wants to be now.
Yeah.
Wow. That took a dark turn real quick.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some other stuff that's not so dark.
Let's
Having
do
a
that.
drink for George when I get to the house.
You know what's not dark? Our Facebook group. It's not dark at all. It is the light. It is the shining light. It's the beacon of hope, and it's where you can come to hang out with us when we're not on the Southern Fried Geekery podcast. Us and a lot of our friends, people from all over the place who listen to the show or who just like being part of the community. And they do really cool stuff, and we talk about things, some of which we're going to get to here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're also posting pictures on our Instagram page of the books we're reading. We're at SFG Podcast on there, and we're at SFG Podcast on Twitter because I made those the same thing because that's easy and I'm forgetful. And so if you want to tweet at us, you can. Or if you want to shoot us an email, you can drop me a line at southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com.
And we can give you the password to all of those accounts, too, because it's the same for all of them.
If you want to be our social media manager, you can talk to me because this is getting difficult juggling all these things. No, it's fun. It's fun and it's fine.
We pay in hugs and kisses.
Yeah, we do.
That's throat kisses.
What?
I don't even know what that means.
Shut up, bird burner.
Okay. Moving on.
All right. So while we're on the topic of our Facebook page, we're going to roundtable a comic this week, and this comic still it's got direct ties to our Facebook group.
It does
because the comic is written by none other than Mr. Zack Davis, who is the writer of words and the sender of beer.
Yes.
Father of dragons, breaker of chains, all that fun stuff. And he sent us a book that he wrote, and he sent this as just kind of a, hey guys, you might be interested in this. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But really, the book was so damn good, I think we have to.
It was really good.
And the book is called Crimson Rider. And like I said, it's by none other than Mr. Zack Davis himself. Artist and cover by Tyler Sowles. Lettering by Justin Birch. We're just going to keep going down the list. Title design by Jake Clinton. Story edits by Trico Lutkins. And grammar edits by Lauren Resk. I don't know. Fight us.
Come on this show and fight us.
Hey, look, grammar edit that.
Wow. Caleb just needs a grammar edit life coach.
It's not like my degree is in English and creative writing.
What did you just graduate for?
Just because I had to. All right, so the book opens up. So this is a Western. That's kind of the first thing you need to know. There's three things you kind of need to know. It's a Western. It's about vengeance, and all is not well. That's pretty much the three themes of the book. So the book opens up in the Old West, and this is there is a hanging happening. Their criminals are being swung by ropes from their necks.
He was hanged by his neck until he shit his pants.
Right. Because that's a bodily function that happens, and I thought that was a great moment. So there is a man on there, and he got dropped, and there are three prisoners who are sitting there, and what they're talking about is what Craig just alluded to is. Dude shit his pants when he died, which, happens. He had no control over that. It's not his fault, but they're talking some mad shit about him.
Yeah.
Because if you're about to get hung, that's exactly what you want to do is just poke fun at the dead dude in front of you in line. Because fuck that guy. He went first. But there's two men also waiting on their turn, but there's an older woman, kind of a grandmotherly figure. And the book is mostly done in pencils and gray wash, but every once in a while you get really pops of red, and she's wearing this kind of red shoulder shawl as kind of the grandmotherly figures are wont to do. And they're like, well, we know why we're here. We're just pretty despicable people. Why are you here? Because you're a grandma. And she says, well, I reckon I deserve to be here just like anybody else.
Right.
And they're like, but you're a grandma. Like, what the fuck did you do?
Yeah. How many field mice did you kill?
Yeah.
To get here?
Yeah.
And so this is the book as a whole is going to be kind of bookended by this. And as she starts explaining why she is, I guess it's weirdly to say worthy of being there to be executed, she starts telling them the story of her life. Grandmother was not always a grandmother. As a young woman, she and her brother and her father lived on a farm. Things were going great. Unfortunately, their mother had passed away. I say things were going great. They were getting better. Mom had passed away, but they were kind of moving on. Their life was okay. And Dad was a pretty good dad. He was teaching his daughter how to shoot. The little brother wanted to learn how to shoot the Winchester, but he's not old enough yet. So Dad was like, look, you'll get your time. But right now, Big Sis is going to do this. And she's out, just popping birds or something near a scarecrow.
She was damn good at it.
She was. Yeah. She is eagle eye. She has got those iron sights set in. And so they're just kind of doing their thing. Well, one day, Dad comes home and he's like, hey, the horse threw a shoe. We need to take him to the farrier, get him looked at. And so our main character, who, because I have lost my notes, I cannot tell you her first name.
Mary, right?
Mary.
Is it Mary?
It's Mary, yeah.
Mary, sorry about that.
And for the record, the horse's name is Satan.
The horse's name is Satan. I was like, wait, what?
Yes.
But he was a devil, or she was a devil as a colt.
Yeah.
Is what Mary says. So Mary goes on her way to kind of take Satan, the horse, to the farrier to get some shoes put on. And as she's going, she comes along this group of 4 men. They're just kind of, they're wondering, they're saying, hey, where are you up to? And she's just like, well, I'm just going to go take my horse to get a new shoe put on, because horses and shoes in the West, these things happen. And they said, well, we just came from the farrier and he's not home, but you should totally come with us. And she's, this is suspect, to say the least. She's not feeling it. Like you might imagine she's not. She's just like, no, Dad told me I have to go here. Probably shouldn't be talking to you guys. It's weird that he's not there, but I'm not going with you. And they kind of try to talk. They do that kind of creepy things like, no, like it's okay. Like creepy dudes being creepy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's the Old West, so you don't trust anybody.
No, don't trust nobody.
I've played Red Dead Redemption. You don't trust anybody.
So she goes on to the farrier, and indeed she can't find him, which is kind of weird because these are his hours of operation. He's one of those figures that can always be found. So she does a little poking around. And unfortunately she finds him, and he's dead, like real dead, like shot through the head dead. And this is, she's a young girl who hasn't seen this, she's been a little bit sheltered, even though this is the Old West. This is like, she lived a kind of a normalized life. So finding a dead body, a murder victim, is not within her wheelhouse of experiences, to say the least. So she freaks out. The first thing that she thinks about doing is going and telling her father, who was friends with the furrier. And
Mr. Robitaille.
Yeah, what was his name?
Robitaille.
Robitaille.
Well, that's how it's spelled, but it's Robitaille. I know that because Luke Robitaille used to play for the LA Kings.
Oh, I thought you were just going to out-Italian him for a second.
No, whatever. it's Robitaille.
Jerry,
listen here, Craig.
He's speaking with his hands. But her dad was really good friends with local folks. But before she does, she decides, I guess, that she needs to go talk to the sheriff, or she at least thinks about it.
She thinks about it, decides that because she's not in a rational mind to go home first.
Right. She wants to go get Dad first. And she's lucky she did. At least kind of.
Well, and one thing that she pointed out about the body is he has a D carved into the side of his face.
Yeah. Not P.
So she knows, huh?
Is
it? Oh yeah, P. Yeah.
I thought it was a D at first too.
It's got a drip.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
It's hard to tell whether that's like a blood drip or a cut, but I think
It's a P. Because the 4 men introduce themselves, and as you're about to find out that the 2 of their names are P. It was like Payson.
Yeah.
And you're about to find out why that's relevant.
Yep. So she goes home, and what she comes home to is to her house in flames, and her father and younger brother laid out in the front yard, not dead at this moment. Dad's badly injured. He's been shot. They shot little brother in the leg, and as they did with Mr. Robitaille, they cut letters. They cut P's into their face, just to really drive the point home, to be really vicious. Just kind of their calling card, so to speak. And there were 4 of them, lo and behold, and these are the 4 people that she, came across, which, you kind of understand that in the story. But the dad says, look, there's not room for all of us on the horse. He's never going to make it, especially not missing a shoe as he is. Take your little brother. He's been shot in the leg. Get him to the priest. Like, get him some help. I'll be right here. I'm not going anywhere. Obviously, come back for me, but get your little brother to safety. He's a dad. He's thinking of his kids first. And she kind of argues with him for a second, but Dad's being very realistic. And he's like, no, go take your little brother to the priest. Tell him what's happening and then come back. So she does, and she saves her younger brother's life by doing so, but she never really sees him again.
Yeah.
And you get some of that in the narration. She kind of tells you, this is the last time I saw my brother, and it's the last time she saw her dad, because when she gets back to Dad and to the burning farm, he's unfortunately passed away. He was in fact not going anywhere.
Right.
And his time has ended. And this is very upsetting to her, as you might think. But instead of being the kind of, I think what we would think of in a Western as an atypical female character in what we consider Westerns, who would be very distraught. They would go to a man for help. They would go to the sheriff. They would, just be that old figure.
Yeah, for sure.
She says, no, fuck this.
Right.
She grabs the Winchester, the new Winchester, which her dad had got her for her 16th birthday, as kind of a gift, saying, hey, like, you're a pretty amazing kid. It's the last thing her dad ever gave her. And she grabs a red scarf off of the Scarecrow and she dons it like a mask and she goes hunting. While she's doing this, the book slides to another family, or like another scene, and it's this family whose their covered wagon has broken a wheel. I guess they hit a rock or a stump, and they broke some spokes, and he's out trying to change this wheel on it. And 4 figures pull up, and it's these, of course, 4 men who these men of ill repute who are just doing these terrible things. And they just, of course, start messing with the family. They kind of tease by offering to help. But then they pull their guns and they introduce themselves, as being this gang. And they're like, you're going to tell us exactly what's in this wagon and we're going to kill you. But your choice is either if we tell us exactly what's in here. If you don't have anything that we want, you're going to die. If you do have something we want and you're honest about it, you'll die faster. But if we find out you have something in here that you didn't tell us about, you're going to die slow.
And there's no your whole family.
Yeah, there's no good options here. They line mom, dad, and kids up against the wall. They shoot dad in the leg, kind of like they did with Mary's younger brother. And like these are just really, these are men who revel in violence. They are bad hombres. Wow. Did we just trump this?
Only one of them.
That comes back from like old days, so that's not a Trump reference.
Speaking of Trump references, remind me to talk to you about that book later.
Oh yeah, Space Force.
Yes. Yeah. But these are men who revel in violence. They revel in lawlessness. They love the fact that they seemingly can't be touched. And as they're getting ready to just do something horrible to his family, heads pop. You hear a clack, and you see one of the men's face just
explode.
Yeah,
gory, bloody goodness.
She's definitely using hollow points. And Mary is on the ridge, and she has got a mask on, and she's the Crimson Rider.
Yeah, she's wearing the Scarecrow's mask.
Yeah, basically, yeah, because you've seen throw on the farm a scarecrow with a hat, a sack for a face, and some clothing.
Yeah,
to keep the birds away from the crops. And yeah, she totally donned that outfit that had been just kind of in the background and near like the target practice. I think they were shooting at.
And that's where the book ends us. We see her cracking. But here's what we don't know. We don't know why she inevitably got arrested. And that's
so
going to be the way.
Later.
Yeah, that's going to be the way the story unfolds. Just before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes of it, why don't we go around and say whether or not we liked it or what we thought about the book?
Oh, I absolutely love this book. Yeah. I thought it was great. I enjoyed the art. I love the basically pencils with just a splash of color. Everything about this book I was drawn in from the beginning, and I guess it's only a 3-issue series, but Zach's going to have to let us know where to get the other 2 issues and when we can get them, because I'm fully invested in this character.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything Craig said. And for me, especially there's of course classic Western movies I'm a fan of, but I can't say I've really ever read a Western books or comics or anything like that. It's not really a genre I go to very often, but this hit all the knocks I like, in a good Western, like Unforgiven or, Open Range, vengeance stories. I do enjoy those in there. And like I said, a badass female lead is always a good thing for me. So yeah, absolutely need to know where to get the other 2 issues.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. You know that I love Westerns. Yeah. Love me a good revenge story. I'm completely sold.
4 for 4. 4 for 4.
Absolutely.
And so let me, since we're all talking about where to get the next issue, I can happily tell you that I reached out to Zach yesterday, and the second issue went to the letterer, I think, Friday.
Oh, nice.
So it is in production. We are going to be getting it. He will happily send us the book. He was very glad to hear that at least I enjoyed it because I reached out to him. I was like, yeah, I need you to tell me what's going on with this because I need more of it.
Right.
And he was like, well, yeah, it's really.
Unfortunately, I didn't read it till this morning.
Oh no!
Because of the way my week went, I read it when I got up this morning to prep for the show, which I like to do anyways on the books, roundtable books. That way, it's fresh in my mind.
The same.
But I tell us where, how, when.
Oh, he will. He's going to keep in touch.
And make sure that we get that information on our Facebook page and so forth, so other people can get to it.
Well, it's so interesting, and this is what's so funny about having this kind of connection to somebody who does a story. it, like when I sent him a message of appreciation saying, hey, number one, thank you for sending this, but also, no, dude, seriously, thank you for sending this. It's a great story. He was just like, really, you think so? I haven't really been promoting it that much as I wasn't sure, how I felt about it. And I'm like, dude, you've got something great on your hands here. And here's why. And this is where we're going to dig into the meat and potato. I'm a huge Louis L'Amour fan. And of course, in Louis L'Amour, you get more traditional Westerns. You don't get like this kind of strong female protagonist, but he hits all of these marks. There is so much of these that throw back to, books like the Comancheros, films like all of these old John Wayne movies that you watch. And he has a really, really good voice for this era. And in a really cool way, he ties in very contemporary subjects to this era. Like you said, he's using a woman as this character of vengeance. And if you go back and you study, like women who have been arrested for murder or women who are serial killers, almost 87% of the time, it's an act of vengeance. Yeah, no, I looked at this. I was curious about this.
You got the legit numbers.
87.25%.
87% of the time, that's what it is every time.
Right. But like a lot of your female serial killers, it's all in their mind, it's acts of vengeance, and it all progresses. Like usually their first murder, their first kill comes from a direct act of vengeance. Somebody who has harmed them in some way.
Or their family,
What is really cool about this story is you don't like a story like this where you have four men and a young female protagonist. It would have been very easy to slip into a trope of some type of molestation, some type of rape act. He avoids all of that. And the story does not, the story is actually bettered by it, because it is equally as traumatic, but it is not you don't have to do that to your female characters in order to evoke a storyline.
He sunk her into the revenge story the same as whether it had been a man that came home and his wife and children had been killed, and he went
absolutely like
outlawed Josie Wells type thing, Sorry,
no, I 100% agreeing with you. Yeah, like this story could have been about, like I said, just the concept of setup and everything like that. It could easily have been a male lead, but he did choose a female lead, and it still works. Showing a great example, I think that you don't have to go to a certain tropes, like you said, molestation, rape, or any of these kind of the typical ways that kind of get going for a female lead. And this is a powerful story. And kind of like what you said, like he hadn't really promoted it. And he has a, what's it called in the back? It's not a foreword.
Some back matter. Yeah. And
where he just mentions like what you're holding in your hands is likely not the best comic book you've ever read. Like that's just the beginning of it, how it started. And I can speak as an artist myself too. A lot of us suffer from modesty. And it's not a bad thing whatsoever.
It's humility.
But you never I do my drawings and people say they're good, makes me happy. And he said he wasn't sure if this is something they like. And, you got to let them know. It helps. He wrote a fantastic book.
It is. And what's great about, like I said, because even though he does eschew some of those really misogynist tropes, the story, like you said, the story doesn't suffer from it. It's still made better by it because you're still getting this atypical Western story where you've got a woman who is this character who is a killer. I think it's fabulous. I think it's a fantastic trope. And then he does these really cool things that are, like I said, they're not only homages to Westerns, they're homages to comics that we know and love. When you open up a book with a crow, I immediately, I'm going to think about James O'Barr. I'm going to think about The Crow, which is a story about love and about revenge and about a family that's been wronged, whether or not it's your paternal family, your father and your brother, or a lover, the way it was in The Crow. That's a great homage. And I don't know if Zack was thinking about that when he did it, but if you're reading comics, you have to think about these things in the way of what came before that and what do these symbols, what do they idealize? Yeah. And just having that on that first page, a wordless first page, completely gave me all that I needed to go into this story to know what kind of story. It didn't foretell anything necessarily with the details, but it foretold the tone. And I was like, oh, and then when I read through the story, I was like, yeah, that's got to be either purposefully done or maybe it was just a subliminal thing. And the use of color, like we've said, the book is pencils, it's gray wash, except for those little pops of red. And when I see something like that, I think of Frank Miller's Sin City, where you get these little blips of yellow, and it kind of works in that same way. with the yellow, it evokes, there's a reason, like in Green Lantern stories, yellow evokes fear. It's greed. It's cowardice in some way. Red, it evokes anger. It evokes terror. Like it's the color of blood. And it just does so much to walk you through this emotional journey where in a very few short pages, you get a young girl who has been relatively sheltered. I mean, she's gone through, like, she's dealt with the loss of her parent.
Yeah,
but she's
lived
been
a farm life, and probably had to never shoot anything outside of maybe a coyote on their property or something,
or for food.
Yeah,
into somebody who can jump on a horse and kill a man. Look, I don't know what it's like to kill someone. I can't imagine what it is to take a life. I've been angry enough. I think I probably could at one point, but I've never, you've never acted on those emotions. But to be able to do that, to take that step, and to just go all in, it's just amazing.
Very well done. I mean, there's nothing I can add really that you haven't said. To be honest with you, from the very, very instant that I started reading. I mean, from the first line was, that dude shoot himself. And from that moment, I was like, oh, that's, and I won't, it was just good. It drew me in instantly. Everything I want in a Western book in this book. Mm-hmm. I mean, to be honest with you, it's what I want to read in a Western book.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those things of, like, the layout of it is so good that I can almost see it as, a movie in my head.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's
very cinematic.
Of like the bird flying in and landing on the gallows, and like her telling this story and just the whole unfolding of it all. And like you said, the way that they put in red, all over, really great touch. Like, even, as an older woman, she has like this red sash on, and just from the cover of it, what's up. And one of the things that I really liked is, them explaining her get up without explaining it. Right. Because whenever we first see her and she's doing target practice, the scarecrow that she's shooting at is obviously wearing like a red hat, and it's got like the sack, the corn sack mask or whatever. And then, like, whenever she goes back home, like the next scene that we see her in, she's wearing that. And just those little subtle, like, ways that they kind of get you into that without having to over explain,
No, it's further proof that comic artists they have an equal role as storyteller in what they put out. And so I'm a huge Warren Ellis fan, and one thing Warren Ellis does is he'll have these just silent pages to where he's letting whoever his artist is at the time tell his story for him, because he trusts the artist to hit those marks. And with this, man, Zack's got a winner in an artist like Sowles. I just I had to go look this dude up on Instagram because I've never heard of him. And Sowles is an excellent sequential storyteller. There's nothing that you lose by not having these, like you're talking about, these just long drawn out explanations, which you get in a lot of indie books. I guess because a lot of indie writers, because they're new writers, or they just haven't had a lot of experience with this, they put way too much conjecture in their books, and you don't get that.
Well, and you also get this thing where they try to cram too much in the first issue because they're scared they're not going to get a second or third issue completed.
Right.
This book doesn't give you that. It's paced beautifully. You get what you need to set up the 3-story arc, and without it being a setup book. I mean, it is a setup book because it gets the story going, and it's very much the first act of this. But it ends leading right into the second act.
Right.
There's no, we tried to cram all this in so that we can keep it a 3-issue thing. It feels like the pacing is perfect for it.
I could very easily see this book at Dark Horse.
Yeah.
I was reading this, I was thinking, how is this not a Dark Horse book? Maybe Dynamite, but not necessarily. I think it's a little bit more.
I'd say Oni would be a good place for
possibly.
it. Possibly. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm like, I guess looking ahead, I'm really curious, because everything that she did in this book, even by like quote unquote Western judiciary terms, everything she did was justified. So I'm wondering what in the extent of her life gets her to the gallows. Like, where does she, inevitably she ends up losing herself, right? Like, that's something that I kind of expect to see, is her like cross a line.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm so curious about what that is. Like, he's got his hooks in me.
Absolutely.
I needs it.
And you can just, one last thing I want to mention about it was, for any of those who might be hardcore into the old Western books, the Crimson Rider might be a familiar name. He mentions in the back also that this is a public domain character.
Oh, nice.
She was in old issues of Jumbo Comics from 1939 and only had like a 12-page wrap of her entire story arc, and he always found her to be an interesting character.
Nice.
So he wanted to expand. So you can tell this is a passion project.
Yeah.
Like, obviously he's a big fan of Western and old Western books. So yeah, Zach, you did an amazing job.
Yeah, we're going to have to get him on the show sometime soon.
There was also I thought I saw something in reference to it while looking it up, but there was also a song in 2005 by Masterplan called Crimson Rider. So I'm wondering what the connection is there as well. Like if there's something to do with the Jumbo Comics character, or if it's just
I wouldn't be surprised. Me, a lot of musicians, they
kind of take from fiction.
Yeah.
Sort
Well,
of.
and they tend to be comic book.
Right. So, great book. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, for sure. And Zach, let folks know where they can get it from you and how much, dude, make some money off your art, dude.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for sending it to us. We really do appreciate it. I can't
For
get
sure.
over it.
Yep.
All right, so that was fun.
It's always nice when we choose. I mean, because we blindly chose this book.
Right. Yeah.
He sent it to us, and why not?
Yeah.
So we blindly chose it, and for all four of us to dig it.
Yeah.
It's because we've had it before where we've had indie people send us books, and we try to be as positive as we can, and sometimes it's like. You look for the positive to talk about in the book.
So we give our honest critiques, and it is that we're not judgmental, we're not condemned. We're just like, these are our thoughts and our opinions on it, but it's always fair. But yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I've got nothing negative, and that's from everything from the art to the story pacing to the plotting. This feels like a professional.
If you
book.
like Six Gun, you'll like this.
Very much so.
Absolutely.
Well, all right. So now we're going to move on with the show. And the way we've been formatting our shows, if you guys are new to the show, is twice a month we do a deep dive into comics that we're reading. Once a month we talk about some news, and then once a month we do some listener questions. We have come to the Let's Talk About Some News segment of our month. And we're going to dig into some of the kind of more recent things that have happened around comics culture or just pop culture in general. And I think the first thing that we have to start off with, we're gonna put our best foot forward on a sad note. And that is the passing of Mr. Petern Mayhew, Chewbacca himself.
Yeah.
Unfortunately passed away this past month. And I know it probably hit Craig harder than it hit any of the rest of us.
Well, that's the third now of the original 6 members of the main cast, I would say, not counting Darth Vader, of course.
Yeah.
But, the 6 heroes.
Yeah.
You've lost R2-D2, Kenny Baker, Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher, and Chewbacca, Petern Mayhew.
Yeah.
We still have Luke, Harrison Ford, and Anthony Daniels, of course. They're getting older now, and this is going to happen. He was, I want to say 74, almost 75. I think in my other podcast I said 76, but I think he was 74. Without Petern Mayhew in the costume, you don't get the humanity that came through in Chewbacca. You couldn't have just put anybody in that costume and got that same character. You could have very much ended up with just a side companion that was just a lovable furry thing there. Right. Instead, you got Han Solo's conscious.
Yeah.
You got... It's Chewbacca that made Han Solo go back, and he guilted Han Solo into coming back and helping Luke. You don't have that conscious without Chewbacca.
Well, and for an actor who says exactly 0 English words in, going on 40 years, 50 years of Star Wars fandom, since its inception in was it 78?
76.
76. Petern Mayhew was able to do a lot with body language. Yep. And this is a time where, that suit was cumbersome. That suit was not easy to wear. But even his eyes, if you go back and watch those old films, he says so much with his eyes. His body language does so much.
Head movement. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely the subtleness of acting in a suit. I compare it to Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees. There's a reason he's known as like everyone's favorite, because he started doing little tiny things in the Jason character that no one else had done before or even after. Yeah. Petern Mayhew brought those little subtleties to Chewbacca that made, like, when when he told him like Wookiees rip off arms in the chess match, and he leaned back and put his arms up. There was also that subtle, like he did a little subtle head nod of like that little cockiness.
Right.
Maybe told not to, maybe that was all him, but it's a little detail even in a full body suit that an actor will bring to the character.
Yes, that characterization.
And he did that 100%.
He could have very easily just been Han Solo's pet.
Right.
Yep.
And instead, he was his co-pilot and his friend, his
partner,
and part of the heroes.
Yeah.
You know, he was all in on all of it except for being handcuffed by Luke.
He didn't get to rip any arms out of sockets.
Right.
Well, he did.
He did. They cut the scene out of The Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, a good chess player.
Yeah.
I actually got to meet him at a convention.
Did you?
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
this
Very
was
I never had the pleasure. So.
years and years and years ago before I met you guys.
How intimidating was he in real life?
He was really tall and his hands were gigantic.
Yeah.
He was a big man.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
make you feel tiny.
Yeah.
I had a friend. He was part of the 501st, and like so he attended a lot of Star Wars conventions. He got to meet him a few times. And he said every single time, just nice as can be, great drinker, and put him back. But
Really
nice,
one of the sweetest people.
Yeah, so he never had a bad thing to say with him.
And he loved that character and he fully embraced it. And he became that person that, you know, I mean, he didn't hide from being that character. You know, some people would be upset that they, you know, that was all they were ever known for was this one role as a, you know, a giant dog basically. But he embraced it. He loved the family of Star Wars. He loved the family of the fans. He fully embraced being Chewbacca.
Yeah.
So,
And
you know,
he
thank you for creating that character, because I know he didn't write the character, but he did create and bring that character to life.
Absolutely.
So,
he was a great actor.
Yeah.
And he's going to be missed by a lot of folks. Glad we had him for what we did.
yeah, for sure.
But on a happier note, something that I'm really excited about, this week before last saw the publishing of the list of the 2019 Will Eisner Comic Industry Award nominees.
Yeah.
And so the Eisners, look, at the end of the day, I love these type of things, these awards for comics. Number one, because it's great to see comics taken seriously on this level, but it's also really cool because this is a way that I get introduced to some of my favorite books that I don't otherwise hear about, because a lot of times they're not books that you're going to see. They're not superhero books. They're not books that you're going to see on the shelves.
Right.
And it's like my favorite thing is Monsters. I found out about my favorite thing is Monsters because of an award that it won. And now it's to this day, it's still my favorite graphic novel of all time. I love that book. And so we saw those drop, and there were a few cool things that happened with this. And so how do we want to do this? We want to go down and read the full list of nominees, or we just want to talk a little bit about it?
We just talk about the ones that that we're impressed with. And,
Okay.
Yep.
Personally affected our lives.
So I think we'll skip to the best single issue and one shot. The nominees for this were Beneath the Dead Oak Tree by Emily Carroll, Black Hammer, Cthulhuese by Jeff Lemire and Emmy Lennox, No Better Words by Carolyn Nowak, Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man 310 by Chip Zdarsky, and The Terrible Elizabeth Dumb Against the Devils in Suits by Arabson, translated by James Robinson. So with this one, I kind of hope, and I'm predicting, that Black Hammer Cthulhuese will win. This was one of my favorite single issues of the past year. Jeff Lemire told an amazing story. It's about a young girl whose dad is kind of this just shitty dad.
And dried up villain.
Just a washed up guy drinking beer and his wife beater being bitchy at his table. And, she's the vessel and granddaughter of a very Lovecraftian entity that she helps bring through the world. So it was a really fun book.
I can't wait to see how that actually affects the rest of the world at some point, because it's going to.
Has to, man. It has to. On the best continuing series, and this is where you are going to get them.
I just wanted to mention that Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man 310, I've heard nothing but good things about it. It was actually Chip's last issue
nice.
For that run. And
that whole run was supposed to be fantastic.
Apparently he knocked it out of the park.
Judging by the work that Zdarsky's doing right now, I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
He's writing like 4 books, which are the top of my list right now.
It was really a love letter to the character.
Yeah. On the best continuing series, we have Batman by Tom King, Black Hammer: Age of Doom by, again, Jeff Lemire, Dean Ormston, and Rich Tommaso. From Dark Horse, Gasolina by Sean Makowitz and Nico Walter, Giant Days by John Allison, Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing, Joe Bennett, and Rui Jose. I should say Giant Days by John Allison, Max Sarin, and Julia Madrigal. And then The Runaways by Rainbow Rowell and Chris Anka from Marvel. I don't think it will win, but I have extremely, extremely high hopes that Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing and Joe Bennett is going to win.
This is a very strong list.
It
is.
The only book that I see missing out of this that I think should be on this is Middle West, but they put it in a different category.
Another one.
So this list, every one of these books you should be reading or should have read if you're listening to this show.
Yeah, I think Tom King is probably high betting odds probably to pull this out because of his Batman run overall. And I'm saying, in my opinion, I think he's definitely one of the top contenders though too. I'm happy as hell to see Runaways on this list actually, because I think it's been a very slept on series. I've been enjoying it from top to bottom.
Nice.
I agree that last year's Batman for sure.
For 2019.
This year I think is still, he's struggling. It's finally getting there. And I think it will pick itself back up. But
I mean, I get that. Yeah. I think he's definitely taking a risk that hasn't hit home. Yeah, but overall, I think it's still a big body of work that has to be acknowledged. And I know you're not disavowing that. But
as a overall story, yes,
for sure.
Yeah.
But for the go ahead.
As incredible as Black Hammer: Age of Doom has been, I mean, I got to give it to the Immortal Hulk. What they've been doing in that is just.
I mean, that's definitely a worthy pick if it goes there. It's been getting so much headline.
Yeah,
Gasolina was real good too.
I haven't read it. I need to. That's one of those books I've got to pick up. Best limited series: Batman White Knight by Sean Murphy, Eternity Girl by Mags Visaggio and Sonny Liu, Exit Stage Left: The Snaggy Chronicles by Mark Russell, Mike Feehan, and Mark Morales, Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerards, X-Men Grand Design Second Genesis by Ed Piskor.
I won't be mad by any of those winning.
No, definitely not.
Whichever one wins, I can't argue with it. Right. So,
if were I a betting man, and I kind of am, I'm going to say Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerards takes it.
I bet you're right.
I personally don't think it's the best one on the list, but I think that's the one that wins.
Probably a safe bet. I think White Knight, though, is just as heavy of a contender. It got a lot of positive receptions. Yeah. So it could be either one of them two for me on the top two.
Nice. Really need to read Eternity Girl, though.
Yeah.
I've heard really great things.
Mags is Mags is doing some great work.
Yeah.
Best new series: Bitter Root by David Walker, Chuck Brown, and Sanford Green. Crowded by Chris Cebula, Rostein, and Ted Brandt. Gideon Falls by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. Isola by Brendan Fletcher and Carl Kerschel. Man Eaters by Chelsea Kane, Leah Mitternick, and Kate Netsky. Skyward by Joe Henderson, Lee Gabbert.
I think it's Nemechek.
Is it Nemechek? Okay.
I might be wrong.
How stoked are you that Isola is on this list?
I'm stoked to see it because of the art.
But best two new series.
Crowded was amazing.
Crowded was really good. Isola deserves to be on there for the art alone. Carl Kerschel's killing it. The story, I really like it, but I need it to do something else.
Is Image crushing it or what? Because they're every single
Skyward was fantastic. Bitter Root is fantastic.
Gideon
Crowded,
Falls,
Gideon Falls. I mean, I didn't read Man Eaters, but every other book on there.
Yeah. Let's go down the list to another one. Ones I'm interested in, and these are some I need to read, but I haven't yet, are the best publications for kids and teens. And just because of the simple fact that we've got to, as an industry, if you love this industry, start paying attention to what gets kids in the doors of, your local comic shop or of your bookstore, or what is getting kids to reading, what are they picking up from Scholastic. So there's a few I want to run through the list. I haven't read any of these, so I don't have anything to say. If you guys have, let me know. Which one have you read, Jerry?
No, not that I have read it, because I haven't got my copy yet.
Okay.
But Cardboard Kingdom was actually one of our local guys.
It was,
I don't know if it was the whole thing, because I think there were stories in it.
Yeah, it was an anthology series.
And Cloud Jacobs actually worked on one. And he's gotten a lot of praise from it. I really can't wait to pick it up.
Yeah, he's an elementary school teacher in Stuttgart. And so that's really cool to see a local guy in a book nominated for an Eisner. Yeah. So you've got Aquicorn Cove by Katie O'Neill, Be Prepared by Vera Broskell, Cardboard Kingdom by Chad Sell, and he was the editor, and that's the reason he's getting listed this, but it is an anthology. Crushed by Svetlana Chimkova, The Divided Earth by Faith Erin Hicks. When you get to the best for teens, you've got All Summer Long by Hope Larson, who I think is a great writer. Gumballs by Aaron Nations, Middle West by Scotty Young and Jorge Corona, which we are reading, and that book is like if that
book could be in any category.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't walk away with this, I will be highly surprised.
Yeah.
Narroway Book 1, The Black Bull of Norway by Kat Seaton and Kit Seaton. The Prince and the Dressmaker, which I have heard amazing things about, by Jen Wang. And then Water Snakes by Tony Sandoval, translated by Lucas Merrigan. I'm ordering Prince and the Dressmaker this week with some of my graduated money.
Nice.
People gave me.
Nice.
Let's see. Going down the list to...
Apparently, we need to read Giant Days because it's on a lot of
I'm
lists,
reading
too.
Giant Days. Yeah, John, it's great. So if you haven't read it, Giant Days is the story of three girls who it's their kind of adventure through college. Mm-hmm. It's fixing to end. I think they're getting to issue 55 or so is going to be the final. But it's fantastic.
It's one I wish I would have stuck with. I read the first couple issues and fell off of it.
I highly, highly recommend it. Best Graphic Album, Bad Girls by Alex DeCampi and Victor Santos, Come Again by Nate Powell, Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 1 by Karina Becco and Gabe Hardman, Homunculus by Joe Sparrow, My Heroes Have All Been Junkies by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, and Sabrina by Nick Damaso. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Come Again by Nate Powell takes it.
And the only one I read on that list was the Green Lantern Year 1, and it was freaking-tastic.
Yeah, it was so good.
My Heroes is a good book. Anything by Brubaker and Phillips is going to be worth reading. Yeah. So
I do think I have that Come Again on my to read list.
I have the Brubaker and Phillips one in my pile. I just haven't got to it.
Let's say one of you got me that for my birthday. Come Again, maybe,
possibly,
maybe.
This next one is one that I think Sean will perk up on. Best adaptation from another medium. You got Anne Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation by Ari Folman and David Polonsky. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley in Frankenstein, Junji Ito's story collection, adapted by Junji Ito and translated by Jocelyn Allens. Out in the Open by Jesus Carasso, adapted by Javi Ray, translated by Lawrence Schmiel. Speak, the graphic novel by Larisse House Anderson and Emily Carroll. And then To Build a Fire, based on Jack London's classic story by Shabute.
Well, I'll comment on the Junji Ito Frankenstein. It was a damn good adaptation. Of course, I haven't read Frankenstein, but enough of what I've known about it. It seems like he adapted as far as the dialogue straight from the book. And of course, bringing his own unique, creepy as fuck art into it. That's really made it an enjoyable read. So my pick because it's the only one I've read.
Yeah.
But still a damn good book worth checking out.
To Build a Fire, based on Jack London's classic story by Shabute, is amazing. It is the one I think, as far as the art and the storytelling goes, should walk away with it. But again, I won't be surprised to see Junji Ito do it. And maybe I think Junji Ito, like if he wins an Eisner, maybe that opens up some doors for him at least in this side of the world.
Oh, I would love to see him just do art, even expand outside of what he's personally working on, as to see his art with another writer, kind of like with Frankenstein, obviously. But see him work in the West would be amazing. Get his art out there.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Going down the list, best writer, Alex DeCampi for Bad Girls.
I want to talk about a noticeable missing one from the international best U.S. edition of international material. I find it very shocking that Unnatural is not in that list.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
maybe because it's a reprint. I don't know,
but it's a U.S. edition of the international material.
I mean, that's pretty much what
Frankenstein
Frankenstein is too.
Yeah. So. I just felt that one was missing from that list. So you can go on now to the others.
Fair enough. That is surprising when you think back about it.
And just a quick shout out from the U.S. edition of International Material Asia section. Mm-hmm. Apparently the translation for a manga called Laid Back Camp, which is an anime my wife absolutely loved. Just about girls going camping who just love the outdoors. Apparently it was done very well. So she's very happy to hear they're getting a nomination on that.
Very cool.
I will say that I have seen, and just the title alone makes me interested in checking out Dead Demons DDD Destruction.
Right. My buddy Vince my buddy Vince Bonavilla from the 11 O'Clock Comics podcast stands by this book wholeheartedly. He absolutely raves about it. He loves it. And yeah, for him to like it, that says a lot.
I've seen something on it, and it's made me intrigued enough to check it out.
Alex DeCamp. Okay, best writer category. Sorry, Alex DeCampi for Bad Girls. Tom King for Batman, Mr. Miracle, Heroes in Crisis, Swamp Thing, The Winter Special. Jeff Lemire for Black Hammer, all things Black Hammer.
Why shouldn't this list be longer for Jeff Lemire? No.
Right. Descender, Gideon Falls, and Royal City. Mark Russell for Exit Stage Left, The Snaggy Chronicles, Green Lantern, Huckleberry Hound, Lex Luthor, Porky Pig, and The Lone Ranger. Kelly Thompson for Nancy Drew, Hawkeye, Jessica Jones, and Mr. and Mrs. X, and Gambit, Rogue and Gambit, Uncanny X-Men, and the West Coast Avengers. And Chip Zdarsky for Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, and Marvel 2-in-1. This is a hard list for me.
Yeah, any of them are okay. Yeah. I'm not gonna bitch about any of those.
Right, no, all deserving.
I'll come out and say I'm hedging my bets for potentially Jeff Lemire because he's definitely my favorite on the list. But I think Kelly Thompson. I mean, I love everything Mark Russell does, but I think Kelly Thompson has a wider. She casts a wider net in her storytelling per se, and so I think I would not also be surprised to see her win.
As much as I'm definitely the one who pimped Tom King's work, I actually got to give it to Lemire just for the body of work I think he's put out this year.
Yeah.
Best writer and artist from we've got Sophie Campbell on Wet Moon, Nick Dernasso from Sabrina, David Lapham from Lodger, Nate Powell on Come Again, Tony Sandoval for Water Snakes, and Jen Wang for The Prince and the Dressmaker. I'm gonna say Nate Powell.
I would agree that it's probably going to be Nate Powell.
Yeah.
Lodger's pretty good too, but I think anything with Nate Powell, it's going to be beautifully drawn, beautifully written.
Mm-hmm. So. Best penciler, inker, or pencil inker team. Mateus Bernoga from Coda, Mitch Gerards on Mr. Miracle, Carl Kerschel for Isola, Sonny Liu on Eternity Girl, Sean Phillips from Kill or Be Killed, My Heroes Have Always Been Junkie, and Yannick Paquette from Wonder Woman Earth 1.
I'm going to think that it's going to be Mr. Miracle.
You think Mitch Gerards got it?
Yeah, because, when you're working
so much praise
with
on that book.
Somebody that only lets you draw in small 9-panel layouts, you have to get creative.
And he did.
Yeah, he absolutely did. So yeah. I'm gonna say Carl Kerschel on this.
His solo art is fucking beautiful.
It's going to be interesting to see who takes that. I think both are strong contenders. Best painter, you've got Lee Bermejo for Batman Damned, Carita Lapati from Izuna, Dustin Nguyen from Descender, Gregory Penosi from Sea of Love, Tony Sandoval on Water Snakes.
Dustin Nguyen or I forget Batman Damned.
Yeah,
Lee Bermejo.
Yeah, I gotta give it to Lee. His art completely blew me away, and I still need to get that first issue.
Let's skip over.
There's a big local name missing from the colorist.
There is.
There's a reason why.
Because she hadn't really. I mean, she's done some Batman. We're talking about. Might as well say it. We're talking about Betty Brettweiser.
Yeah.
But the only thing she's really done is Batman stuff.
And Outcast. She's still doing Outcast.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah.
So on this, best coloring, Jordi Belair for Batgirl, The Divided Earth, Days of Hate, Dead Hand, Head Lopper, and Redlands. Shuri and Doctor Strange. Tamara Bonvillain. Vion, I'm not really sure. Alien 3, Batman, Doom Patrol, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and Multiple Man. Nathan Fairbairn, Batman, Batgirl, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman, Earth 1, Volume 2, and Die. Matt Hollingsworth for Batman, White Knight, and 7 to Eternity, and Witches. And Matt Wilson from Black Cloud, Paper Girls, Wicked and Divine, Mighty Thor, Runaways, and some other stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
Wilson.
Jordi Belair probably.
Man.
I think she's the safe bet, and she's definitely won a few of them before. I actually like what Tamara Bonvillon's been doing in several things. I think she's a really, her stuff on Multiple Man was a lot of fun. It'd be cool to see her win. And then, Jerry, you said Matt Wilson?
Matt Wilson, yeah.
I'd say Wilson's definitely a strong contender, but Belair also for me.
All right, and I think this is going to be the last one we really talk about on this one, but it's the best lettering. Letterists don't get nearly enough credit, so I really wanted to read this one off. I'm going to say, let's see, we'll go down the list. David Aja for Seeds, Jim Campbell for Breathless, Calixit, Grave Trancers, Snap, Flash Hustle, Survival Fetish, and some other stuff. Alex DeCampi for Bad Girls and Twisted Romance.
He did Sparrowhawk.
He did. Oh, sorry, I didn't get to the one.
Fuck you, Caleb.
He did 90 books. There was a list.
Yeah, there's a lot.
He needs library cards to find it. Jared Fletcher for Batman Damned, The Gravediggers, Union, Moonshine, Paper Girls, Southern Bastards, and last but not least, Todd Klein for Black Hammer, Neil Gaiman's A Study in Emerald, Batman, White Knight, Eternity Girl, Books of Magic, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and The Tempest. I want to throw some love at David Aja for Seeds. Seeds was a amazing book, and part of that was because of his lettering. That's probably my favorite part of that book.
So the crazy thing about lettering is a good letterer you won't notice.
Right.
So it's, you actually have to be looking for the lettering.
Which one? What you got?
I'm sorry.
Come speak into my microphone.
Jared Fletcher, I think, is the one that's going to win.
Think he'll take it?
Yeah.
I agree.
Nice.
Sorry, I should have the list up on my phone, but I don't.
I know you said we weren't going to cover any more. I just wanted to
go ahead.
One little quick one for best comics related book, because I didn't know this existed and now I have to own it, is for Yoshitaka Amano's The Illustrated Biography by Beyond the Fantasy by Florent Jorges, translated by Laura Dupoint and Annie Gillian. If I can find this book, he's the artist who helped create Final Fantasy's look and tons of other stuff. So now I know that exists, I have to own it.
Amazon it up, dude.
Yes, sir.
So next little news blip we want to talk about, something that just happened this week, and it's something I don't like. I'm mad about it. Oni Press and Lion Forge Comics are merging. And here's why I'm mad about that. Lion Forge, let me be honest about something. Lion Forge is not a publisher that I actually read a lot of stuff from. I need to. They've got several collected editions that I planned on ordering and probably still will order. Lion Forge is one of the top producing books for creators of color and featuring characters of color. And Oni Press is, needless to say, not. Which is fine, because I read some Oni Press stuff. I mean, we mentioned the Six Gun earlier. It's one of probably Oni Press's bigger names. But so here's basically what happened. The owner of Lion Forge did the merger and then essentially handed all creative content and control over to the managers and the editorial staff at Oni Press. Kind of threw his own people off just out of books. And it led to a lot of layoffs. There's been
He cashed out.
Yeah, basically. He led to, the company is moving to Portland, which, Portland's a great city. But Lion Forge, like I said, is one of the biggest publishers and producers and hirers for creators of color. Portland's been voted most white, like the whitest city in America 5 years running. Like Portland's it's like a liberal haven, but it's very, very homogenous. I was talking to my buddy Jason Wood about this. He was kind of explaining something. And, I went to Portland last year and it's not wrong. Our friend Russ, whose wife Lilia she's Latina. She was saying the same thing. She's just like, it's so white up here. Like I don't have, like I kind of feel like alone. And so there's a lot of people who aren't going to be interested in following them, even if they didn't get laid off. And it's just sad to me. Specifically because I think we do need voices of color. We do need more voices from the margins. And Lion Forge was one of the biggest pushers of that. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a good feel.
Yeah.
It's not good optics anyways.
And we could be wrong. Like maybe we look back in a year and they've done a lot of stuff, but I do know that Oni Press has already laid off the only employee of color that they had. It's shitty that number one, they only had one, and now she's laid off. Also they dismissed her boyfriend, as well. I don't know. It's just right now that's kind of rocky. And I know, Kelly Williams, who's a dear friend of ours and a friend of the show, he put up a status. It's like, look, as freelancers, we always know that our jobs are in turmoil, but it's even more shaking to see this happen to people who were like full-time workers. Like these were staffers, and to know that they're like this all came down in an afternoon. Like no one knew this was happening. I don't know. It's a bad fucking look, man.
Yeah. It came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I hope that they continue Lion Forge's mission over at Oni. I don't have much faith that it's going to happen based on what they did the first day.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully we're wrong.
I hope so. I don't know. It's just like I said, man.
Y'all nailed it on the head. It's not a good look. Let's hope for the best, but we can only see what's going to happen, really.
Mm-hmm. And as somebody, so I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I kind of have a list of Lion Forge books that I want to. But if you're reading Lion Forge and you've got stuff that you want to suggest to us that we read, and also Lion Forge does a great job of putting out like kids books as well, get on our Facebook group, drop us a line, say, hey, here's my top 5 Lion Forge books, and here's what you should be reading, because I'll buy it. Like I'm going to try to read a lot of books over the summer, and I hate that it's kind of after the fact, but maybe we can get our hands on some of these books before they go away. in happier, I think we're doing this in waves. We're like bipolar.
We are.
In a like doing good, bad, good, bad. In happy news, at least for me, maybe not if you're a huge mega DC fan like our buddy Bill Zanowitz is. Patrick Gleason has just signed an exclusive contract at Marvel and is about to pitch in on The Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know if he's taking over for.
I think it's going to be him and Otley. I think Ramos is leaving.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing.
So now I'm not reading that book. Honestly, I'm not. Ryan Otley's art is what made me jump off of it. But I think you're still reading it, aren't you, Craig?
I'm buying it.
Are you?
Because I'm a Spider-Man collector.
Right.
I quit reading it a while back. But apparently everything I understand about the current run or the current story arc is amazing. So I'm probably getting ready to jump back on reading it. Hunted is supposed to be absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. Was it Friendly Neighborhood has been where it's at?
Yeah.
100%. And apparently, like the story arc with Carnage coming up later, they're tying in with that instead of Amazing for some reason. So I don't know.
So I think that they realize that people are dropping off of that book, and I don't know that it's necessarily the art's fault. I love Spencer, but he's hit or miss for me.
Yeah. For me, like I said, I was speaking only for myself. It's the art.
No, I'm saying that for me, it was a combination. I love Ryan Otley and I love Nick Spencer. I don't know that I love either one of them on Spider-Man.
Right.
So we know he's working on Spider-Man, but I guess my next question, it begs to ask is there anything else that you guys would want to see him work on?
I want to see really good art in Thor again. So
I just you're getting it, but no, I'm kidding.
I'm playing. It's the Thor art is much better than it was. But Thor was the first one that came to my mind.
Craig and I like to pick on each other about this because I like Russell Dauter, but he wasn't feeling it, which I completely understand.
It's much better than it was.
Yeah.
I'm digging it now.
Nice.
I wasn't digging it at the beginning. So,
you guys got anything?
I'm not super familiar with his art, so I did a quick Google search and saw he did was it the Super Sons or whatever? I think he was the name of the book he was drawing. It made me actually want to think because like with the current state of the X-Men books, we're not going to get the current team to make a New Mutants, but maybe make a New Mutants book with young heroes learn like how it originally started. I'd put them on a book like that. I think would be really good.
Well, X-Men.
Are you reading Young Justice?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. I was going to say he's the artist on Young Justice right now. I thought.
He also did Damian, son of Batman.
Yeah.
And
Like I said, I've seen his art, but I didn't have a name to put to it until I Google searched it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I like the way he draws like the younger heroes. I think it's a good style for it. So I think like a relaunch of New Mutants with actual young New Mutants, which I know right now.
They put him on Thor, the oldest hero.
Right. That's where I would go with it.
Hey, he would draw a nice story. He'll draw a nice story.
Story, the best.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like I've been reading Young Justice. I've been loving his work in that.
Okay.
So.
Well, I was just going to say I guess I mixed Joe up. I thought he was reading Young Justice, but it was you.
Yeah.
So I knew one of y'all were. Yeah. I need a list. I need a spreadsheet.
A spreadsheet of what we're all reading.
Yeah. It just put an X, where it crosses over with us. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to have time to do anything other than Spider-Man because they're doing that as a bi-weekly book and they're doing story arcs so that they stay ahead.
If he ever decides to leave Spider-Man and he gets some free time because of his work on Young Justice and because of his work on Super Sons, I would love to see him do a Young Avengers book. And it's kind of that same vein of what Sean was talking about, these younger characters. Or a book like that has an X book with like characters like Glob Herman or Martha, who has a little like balloon head. Yeah. Those guys, I think that'd be a lot of fun. And so this kind of leads us to something big, which Marvel just announced this past weekend, and they've been leading up to it. A little backstory on it. About a week and a half ago, Marvel's editor-in-chief he put out a tweet and was like, "Hey, it's been a long time since we sold 1,000 or a million copies of any single issue. I think we better do that again." And I've got an idea for it. And since they did that, they started releasing these kind of promo images, both online and in the comics, of just names of, just these these writers and artists together. And we didn't know what it was, right? Like, number one, the format of that was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, is it an Aladdin book?
Right.
That's what it looks like, is the Aladdin script.
Like a purple back with gold letters, and the font was stupid. I don't know. Like, if this is how you plan on selling 1 million issues, just like it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But what it was, is, and it just got announced, they are doing a Marvel 1000 issue
is that what it is?
the 80th anniversary. And these are going to be, I don't know if they're going to be single or page stories, but they're going to be short stories done in either like 1 to 3 pages with a little ongoing narrative being written by Al Ewing that threads throughout the whole thing. And they're getting great people, there's a a murderer's list of creators that's been dropped.
Of male creators.
There's only 7 women out of all of fucking comicdoms. All of the the amazing freelance creators. You can get 7? Including some of which, some women who are working full-time at Marvel who are not on this list.
Right.
Like that's over 50 people. Like that's stupid. and it's not that. And so my favorite one is somebody used the same background, the same font, that just said hire more women. Yeah.
And it said
pay
hashtag
artists,
not John Byrne.
Right. And hire more women and pay artists what they're worth.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Like, look, we reread a lot of not Marvel stuff. We read stuff that's out of the big 2, and there are some incredible women working on books.
Yeah.
If you look at the Eisner list, there's a shit ton of them on the different things for Eisner list. There's no reason we shouldn't have those women working in mainstream comics. There's 0 reasons they shouldn't have a job today, right now, yesterday, 10 years ago. And there's also 0 reason why out of over 50 creators, you can only fucking Al Ewing, who I love. I love Al Ewing. He is writing more stories than they have women creators.
Right.
He gets more credit as one person than any of the women. That's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Like, you're not wrong. And like, you could tell clearly what they're going for. And especially since what you said this whole thing's going to be.
Yeah.
They're just getting as many big names to throw together as they can. They weren't actually looking at like, hey, let's actually show new talent or maybe less known talent. This is a who's who gathering. And of course, because of the industry, how it was been male dominated for this long, those established names are generally male.
Well, maybe in the superhero.
Right. I mean, that's what I mean in Marvel, especially because what they're doing is a Marvel book. It's going to be a superhero tale. It's going to be all that good stuff. So I'm not saying it's right, but you could tell that's what they were going for.
But I mean, where's Mariko Tamaki on this list?
Right.
She writes for Marvel. She's writing a book for Marvel right now. I mean, I don't know. They just, to me, there's some oversight here.
The Al Ewing thing is definitely the biggest, like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Not saying you're wrong, just like, you can tell that's where they're going. But it kind of,
No, and I think Al Ewing's a smart choice to be the one who writes the ongoing thread. I'm just, I don't understand why there's so many other people, and I don't know, there's just a lack of, and it's not because they're there, it's just because they're not getting hired, and it's absolute bullshit. And that's, I like the current Marvel editing staff, the higher ups. I think there's some good people there. I love that Axel Alonso.
This is just an oversight. This wasn't an intentional thing.
But and this is the problem though with not having women at those high levels, is that you can have an oversight like this. Like, where were and even the ones who are writing are speaking up and they're like, yep, this is this is the problem. Yeah. Kelly Sue DeConnick's one of the main voices, and she's in this book, but even she came out and was like, yeah, this is an issue, and this is what happens when you don't have women
in the executive roles.
and in the staff.
Yeah.
Let's jump over to some film before we have to log out of here. HBO's Watchmen teaser came out. Did everybody get a chance to watch it?
I watched it.
Did you watch
The Watchmen?
Did you watch The Watchmen? What are your thoughts about it?
I'm trying to figure out when Rorschach's mask became the anonymous mask.
Right. I mean, it's like the Guy Fawkes mask.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead. You're the most excited for this.
Yeah. And I'm going to be, because they can feed me just a shred of something Watchmen related and I'll fucking eat it up. Still diehard Doomsday Clock fans too, so as long as the show doesn't get delayed like that comic, I think I'll be okay. But as far as they didn't really. They showed how the world kind of is today. We got to see snippets of, the characters today. But it almost, from the world building that they had at the end of the comic, it was kind of hard to see where it all came from. Cause, he basically made a utopia. And we can tell from this also that whatever they're doing in the comics right now with Doomsday Clock and everything, it's separate universe. I do like really stand by Jeremy Irons now as Ozymandias. I thought that was actually a really great pick. Whatever they have going on with the police in masks now, I find is really intriguing.
Their utopia has become a dystopia.
Yeah.
Which is why you have a group of people that are basically anonymous wearing Rorschach masks.
Well, and this is I think, following the thread of the Watchmen book, at the end of the book, Rorschach's journal goes and gets published. And I think Alan Moore and, I just committed comic sin. My brain went blank. Who's the artist on
Gibbons?
Watchmen? Yeah, Dave Gibbons. Shit. Yeah. I need to go drink coffee. Forgive me out there.
Say 13 Hail Mary.
Right? Or 13 Dave Gibbons. They left it open-ended for interpretation, and like this idea of the utopia won't work because of this. And I think this is like the thread.
Anytime you have police wearing masks, you're in a dystopian society.
Yeah. Right. And it almost becomes sort of totalitarian too. Like where you have like this perfect society where I mean, and I guess like after you get it to that point, they're like, we need to keep it like this, so we need to monitor everything. And,
which is why then you would have a group that's fighting it, and Rorschach's mask makes sense for that. But it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
It's got possibilities, of course. I'm not super excited because I just feel like Watchmen was a contained story, and that's where it needed to be. I had no interest in before Watchmen or even this Doomsday Clock thing. But it doesn't mean like the trailer did not look bad to me, but it also didn't make me super intrigued. If I have a way to watch it when it comes out, I'll give it an episode a try, but I'm not super excited about it.
Don Johnson was exciting to me.
The way I put it, and this is something, it's really funny because I'm kind of on Jerry with it. I'm really excited about this as a show, but not because it's a Watchmen show. I was talking to Jerry about it, and it's like the best analogy I can come up with is, it's like they took another IP and they skinned it, and they're wearing it like a Watchman suit.
It's like
Buffalo
V
Bill
for Vendetta with Watchmen skin.
Right. And now they're wearing around a Watchman, but I can't not look at it.
Yeah.
Like there's some really cool stuff happening. I just don't think it's like the opposite.
They really wanted to piss Alan Moore off.
Right now.
Two of his properties.
He is screaming into a cave somewhere in the fields of London. So my favorite Punisher movie is actually not a Punisher movie. It's Man on Fire. It's the best Punisher movie ever made. Denzel Washington is an amazing Punisher. This is like the opposite of that, to where they're putting the Watchmen stamp on something that doesn't look like the Watchmen versus like not putting a Punisher skull on something that absolutely is the Punisher. And it's just intriguing. I don't know what to think about it.
And it almost feels like, what was that book that came out with the firefighters, and they were burning like all like, the books and everything and all knowledge.
Oh, that wasn't a show. That was Nazis.
No, I mean, but it was,
I forget what, wasn't The Leftovers.
Fahrenheit
9/11.
Yeah. 9/11. Yes. It almost seems like it could be like that. Like the police are there to, prevent history from repeating itself type thing.
It's a dystopian, totalitarian society.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it's meant to feel
and
like.
regardless, like one of the big points in Watchmen is like, society is shit, and it looks like we're still going to get that in this. The mask vigilante presence doesn't look as prominent. Yeah. It looks like they are more going to use that as like their face, kind of like they did in V for Vendetta and everything. But yeah, it's intriguing, and I'm interested in.
I can't not look at it.
Yeah, because I'm like, and it's HBO. Even if it's I don't know, not great Watchmen, it'll probably still be great TV unless you get the same writers that wrote the last season of Game of Thrones.
I hate in my heart.
Let's not get into that right now.
No, because that's a whole another hour and a half of me screaming in the background. So Spider-Man Far From Home, that trailer dropped. That's a thing that happened.
Guess some questions were answered.
Holy shit.
When they give you a spoiler warning at the beginning of a trailer,
you're
about to get some answers.
And from Tom Holland, who spoils everything.
From the one person who can't get a script these days, they feed him his lines because they know he will spoil shit. So here's what we know. We do know that it takes place after the film, after Endgame, which we kind of assumed.
Yes.
We know that most of his friends were snapped. We can assume. We can assume.
We can assume, unless they're still pulling our leg. And
we know that there is a character who might be Mysterio in the show. Now, here's what the speculation comes in. In what we've learned from this, the character of Mysterio seems to be a good guy.
And this is going to be spoilers.
Yeah, this is if you haven't seen the trailer.
Surely all of our good listeners
we have to give?
Yeah, I know,
Do
right?
we have to give fucking spoiler warnings for a trailer? Is that where we're at?
No, because it spoils the movie that the director's already said you've had your chance.
Yeah.
Right.
So no spoilers. Don't worry about it. Talk about the fact.
Well, so Mysterio seems to be a good guy, somebody who's cooperating at least, and might be working with Agent Fury, but he positions himself as somebody from an alternate timeline. So we know at the end of, as we've discussed on our previous show, potential timelines split off and go do their own thing. Well, he's supposedly from another universe. Like they're introducing the multiverse in this.
the way they said it was that the undoing the snap ripped the fabric of time, or the fabric of existence. So there's multiple multiverses
Time,
now.
space, continuum, whatever.
And Mysterio is here alongside Nick Fury to help kind of stop this convergence event from happening. And you see these giant, like scary, crazy figures. Like I think there's one that's a Molten Man. There's Hydra Man. There's something that might be Sandman.
Bitch, you've been to outer space.
Right? Please explain that to anybody who might not know.
Oh, he's talking to Tom Holland or to Spider-Man, and Nick Fury is, and he's wanting him to help with Mysterio, and he's like, I'm just the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and of course, Nick Fury says, "Bitch, you've been to outer space. You can no longer claim to just be from your friendly neighborhood."
And you can't protect the neighborhood if there's no neighborhood to protect.
You're right. So Jerry is really excited about this, I know, because of the idea of a multiverse, potentially the Spider-Verse. So Jerry, pontificate on that for a second. Tell him about that.
Okay. Yeah, just the thought of, a convergence anyway. Because there's like this side of you that like wants to believe that all of this is happening, and say Mysterio is telling the truth at least about the universes. It gives them a good way to bring all this other stuff in, all these other characters. Even like, Mutants, X-Men, Fantastic Four, they could exist on his universe. They could combine. Somebody posted a scene from the movie, a very, very short scene, and it kind of made me think about something and kind of gave me other ideas that I don't necessarily want to spoil for you guys, but it almost made me think that like there's a good chance that the alternate universe thing isn't true. But following up from time travel and everything, I feel like we need that next big thing, and how we're going to bring a lot of stuff in is my thing. I would really like to see some Spider-Verse stuff.
I think that they're going to leave the Spider-Verse stuff in the cartoons for right now. I'm not disagreeing with you that I would love to see Miles Morales and some of the other make their appearance. But I think for right now, they're going to leave that in the cartoons because that cartoon was so successful.
Yes.
I think it's easy to say that mutants have always existed and they just haven't made themselves known at this point. And then I think that it's easy to have the Fantastic Four have been stuck in some, the negative zone or whatever, and they just haven't been released. I don't think they're going to use this to bring in other characters. I think they're going to use this to explain why Mysterio is different than the Mysterio we know.
And it is our last movie for Phase 3. So whatever happens in this is going to set the tone for Phase 4.
The end credit scene will absolutely be we're going to know at the end of this movie who the big bad is for the next big story arc. Yeah.
I feel like with Homecoming, how it basically set up the Spider-Man world basically for at least him. This one's going a little bit broader, I think, with the whole idea of if you can trust anything Mysterio says. He's literally the master of illusions. So, assuming all that's true, this is definitely opening up potential for the bigger Marvel continuity. But if nothing else, we're just getting, I think, more expansion into the Spider-Man's rogue gallery, into the world of Spider-Man, which is what Homecoming did so well. So, I'm just as excited for this one.
And if this movie does not start off with him fighting somebody like Scorpion or something like that, I'm going to be a little sad.
I think Jake Gyllenhaal looks fantastic in this. Number one. I mean, just in general. Okay, so objectively, I think Jake Gyllenhaal looks fantastic at this. Mm-hmm. As a gay man, it's going to be really, really difficult for me to watch a movie with Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal, both of which I have mega man crushes on. I would like, pretty people. That being said, the second thing I want to add to that is to paraphrase Eminem. Motherfuckers act like they forgot about Mysterio. This dude, like his whole shtick is that he makes you see things that aren't real. He's a professional fucking liar. So I think, like my opinion, and this is what I'm going to see. I think Nick Fury is hiding something.
What?
I don't think that there's a multiverse. It's suspect as shit to me that he's positioning himself to look like a good guy. And I think that you're inevitably going to find out that he is the one who's doing all this stuff to try to present himself as a hero. It's going to be kind of a classic story.
Nick Fury's a Skrull.
Ooh, he could be.
Seriously,
think so?
In one of the Last Avengers, he said he can only eat his sandwiches if they're cut diagonally, and then in Captain Marvel, he's eating a sandwich cut the other direction.
Secret invasion, man.
Yep,
it could happen. Jerry's confused.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go back and watch.
Jerry's face.
It was broke. Civil War or something. Oh, he talked about that he could only eat a sandwich cut one direction, and then in Captain Marvel, he's eating it cut a different direction. Like he says, he can only. It's serious. This is a thing.
Yeah,
I've seen it brought up. It's a potential thing they're throwing out there. We'll see.
It could very well be an Easter egg, or it's just a fuck up in the movie.
Look, I mean, the Skrulls are. I mean, thanks to Captain Marvel, the Skrulls are now a major part of the at least the MCU canon, and they're going to use them.
I really think that not Secret Wars, but I think
Invasion
and Secret Invasion is the next thing we're going to
very possibly. Yeah. Oh, that would be so cool.
I don't think it's going to be the big story arc, but I think it's going to be the next Avengers.
Yeah.
I think
while they're setting up the bigger, just like we had the first two Avengers movies that weren't part of the big.
I need to keep an eye on. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just started, and I think honestly that's going to be a good tell to where the direction they're going.
They always kind of have good like hints at what's to come, because I think they brought Skrulls in right before Captain Marvel came out, right? Yeah.
Hey,
and also Peter Parker's teacher. Looks identical to the dude.
It's that same actor.
Yeah.
It's
the same actor that played the Skrull.
Yeah.
Director critic.
People have eagle eyes. It's amazing to me. So I don't pay this close attention to stuff, but it's amazing to me how people just like pour over these things and can find things like, oh, that's Talos in the background that's kind of fuzzy, but it's totally him. Yeah, that's insane. Or the cutting of the toast. Like y'all motherfuckers be watching shit.
Yeah.
I'm telling you though, the Russo brothers started it with their trailers being misleading, showing clips that aren't in the movies to get fans off this.
Yeah, you can't trust.
And they're taking it even next level with fucking Mysterio. I don't trust anything in the trailer, but I'm still hyped.
I agree. Until we see the movie, we won't know.
In my heart, I can't trust it. But God, I want it.
I know.
Right, absolutely.
That's the way I feel.
I really do think.
Yeah.
I really do think they're going to leave the Spider-Verse in the cartoons for now. Yeah. I think ultimately it may be a way, but
I think the multiverse is going to be a thing. I mean, even if it's only on a smaller scale, like with Loki taking the stone to have his own TV show, there's definitely alternate timelines going on.
They're working on the fucking
WandaVision.
What are those? Not the Beyonder, but
oh, you're talking about the
words are hard.
God damn it!
Yeah,
you're talking about his big villains. From Spider-Verse.
Right.
Damn.
Nerd fail.
The Inquisitors?
No, not the Inquisitors. Inheritors.
Got yes. It. Yes. But also one of their big movies. One of their next big movies they've already announced it's in production is the whatever these big cosmic things are. So I don't know, like there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of balls in the air. Yeah, we are. A little bit of TV news. The last little thing, Batwoman series gets officially picked up. Yay. Ghost Rider and Hellstorm coming to Hulu.
Yeah,
also yay. And it's the Ghost Rider that we know from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Gabriel Luna, I believe.
Uh-huh. Yeah. He's the hotness. Sean, buddy, New Mutants is going to get a 2020 release is what they're telling us now.
I just want to see it. I don't care if it's the shittiest movie in the world at this point. I just want to see it. I'm going to see my New Mutants in theaters. Yeah. I don't care anymore. I want to watch the train wreck.
I'm sorry. I know you had high hopes for this.
I can't believe they're putting it out.
I'm going to see it in theaters regardless.
Oh, I don't blame you. I would too, but it's...
At this point, I just want to be put out somehow.
Yeah. And then in happy news for the gamers, and this is one of the few games that I'll actually buy and play, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, has been named, and they're starting to show some clips. They've dropped a character list. I absolutely love this game. I love the engine. So my favorite games in history are Ultimate Alliance 2, and Diablo.
Yes.
And I love that type of play. And this is happy making. I can't wait to play this. And they're using The Black Order, which is just so good. I love those characters.
And yet, Nintendo saving another franchise from being completely done, a la they did with Bayonetta on the Wii U. So, thank you, Nintendo.
Is this a straight up Nintendo exclusive game?
Oh, no, it's going to be on all platforms.
No.
Switch only.
Yeah, just-
Nintendo saved this franchise.
Oh, Caleb's going to have to buy a Switch now.
God, no, I told Roger I was going to anyway.
Okay, good.
It's a Switch exclusive.
Yeah, do your thing. Buy your significant other the Switch so you can play it.
That's it. Well, I mean, that's what I
did.
All right. So there's lots of other news that's taken place over the last month. And as you know, that there will continue to be more news come out. We talk about these things on our Facebook page, where you should be. Why aren't you there? We miss you. We're waiting for you. We've been waiting for you this whole time.
Well, technically, we're not there right now either.
Well, I am. I've got my phone ready. But so come to our Facebook page. Jump in. We'll talk about stuff. We'll have a great time. It's good times. And you can see some of the stuff that we talk on the show, but you're going to get stuff that we don't talk on the show, which is kind of awesome. As usual, we like to wrap up our shows by reminding you that Wednesdays are hashtag new comic book days. It's the best day of the week because that's when the new books come out. That's when we get the new comics that we know and love. And you should be hitting up your local comic shop or be purchasing them however you prefer to purchase your comics, as long as you're purchasing them. That's the only important part. You got to support the industry if you want it to do what the industry does. So do that. Craig, buddy, what's coming out next week that you're excited about?
Yeah, it's kind of a small week for me, to be honest. Orphanage #2 is the one I chose from Aftershock Comics. It's I talked about issue #1 as one of my books of the week, and I'm excited to see where the series goes. So
on the topic of it being a small week, it is for me as well. There's a few books coming out, but I'm actually going to tell you to pick up a trade paperback.
Okay.
It's Frank Miller's Ronin, the trade paperback. It's part of their Black Label edition. Black Label is the same one that they're putting out Batman Damned, or supposedly putting out Batman Damned. But they're putting their Black Label stamp on some of the more adult themed things. Ronin to me is one of my favorite Frank Miller things. It's what got him, if my timeline is correct, it's what enabled him to do books, like Sin City, some of his first like self-creator owned work that they really let him run with, and I love it. So if you don't have this on your shelf, you need to get it. It's the goodness. Sean, what you got?
Book for me is Naomi #5. This is going to be the reveal issue. Who she is, what she's going to be, what her power set, all this kind of stuff. So I'm basically going to find out whether I wasted all my time or it's going to be a great fucking payoff, and I can't wait to find out.
Fair Lady #2 for me. Nice. I am so stoked to get back into this world that they created, and find out more about this case that the characters are on. Just really loved issue #1, so I'm ready for 2.
Badass. Well, get to the comic shop. Buy your comics. Come hang out with us and talk about it. We about ready to bring this thing home?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, guys and gals and gender non-specific folks, you guys too, you folks too. If you have liked what you heard, and we really hope you have, you should come see us on all the previously mentioned places where we're hanging out. And seriously, in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing a listener question. We have a pretty stacked deck, but there's still room. You can drop a few more questions. If you go to our announcements in the Facebook page, we have a little, I put up a GIF because I like GIFs. And it says, hey, drop your questions here. So drop your questions there. That's what we want you to do.
Do not come argue with us about if it's a GIF or a GIF. No one wants to have that real argument.
That's a whole different segue. I'll throw something
I'm just kidding.
Jerry. But yeah, come there. If you have any questions, I'm not joking. Come ask them. But if you don't want to put them on there, you can always shoot us an email, southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com. Let's
be honest, you're the only one answering.
Well, that's true. We spoke about a friend of ours, creator owned and creator created book, comic that if you are making comics that you think that we would like, if you want to send it to us, let me know. I'll let you know how to get that to us, and we might talk about it on the show. We would love to support the people who support us, and that's a big part of it. Well, if we don't have anything further, any last news, going once, going twice, sold. All right, go for it. Love some comics.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. Mama.